major biodiversity products that are available in Manipur. One is Taxus pagoda and the other is ginseng. And both of these have been available for generations in the area, 200, 300 years. And if we look at the current stock of both these products, in 1993, the villagers started selling it to people from Burma and Bangladesh at 25 rupees a kg. And today they sell it for 3,000 rupees a kg. And it's almost extinct, both of it. And the industries which are actually picking up the supplies are international medicine pharmacy groups, and with no benefits to people at all. Also, when I look at the first level of processing that the villagers do it for use for themselves, it's actually quite scientific, but never documented or given any credit to. And which is also true for a lot of other medicinal products which are available across India. So the whole design of the industry as it is coming up, maybe some thought is actually needed to be given at the level of sourcing of the products themselves, rather than thinking of the final product that you deliver to the patient or to the service provider. So that's one thing that I felt, there's more discussions needed on that. And another question and debate that has been on for long in my mind is looking at Ayush as an alternative form of medicine. And I don't quite understand the alternative word which attaches itself to Ayush. And that's a big problem for me. Because if I look at modern medicines, as you rightly pointed out, evidence and hence proven. And a common man who has an ailment, unless he reaches a chronic state, usually doesn't go for an Ayush treatment. So if I have a skin problem, and I can treat it with the established form of medicine, I'll go there first. And when it doesn't work, then I would do anything to make it work. And then I look for alternatives. So even in India, not talking at the global level, even in India, it continues to be an alternative form of medicine. And that worries me a lot. My uncle himself is an Ayush practitioner, but to have that belief within myself to treat something with either Ayurveda or Unani form of medicine, it took a lot of years and a lot of courage to actually experiment. And even in that, unless I had this exposure, I would have probably gone for the brands, which, there is somebody that I can at least catch hold of and say that, no, your medicine is what created the complication. So that level of credibility there's always a doubt about that credibility. And I think it's something that the system has to take care of.
I just wanted to thank everybody for a lot of learning, I'm Ajay Mahajan. I do different things in the environment for like maybe 30 odd years, and perhaps most deeply in the field of ecological organic farming and livelihoods associated with it. And so first I thought for me there were a lot of things. I love the inclusiveness and the holisticness with which the whole evening happened, and they were, the whole thing of moving from preventive and self-care and trying to bring everything together. Now the couple of points I wanted to make was, in my experience of traveling and living in different parts of India and some deep sojourns and yatras, I see a great regional unevenness in the prevalence and practice and hence the relationship with the people, the communities themselves with, let's say, Ayurveda, local health traditions. For example, there's a great difference, I think, between Western India, between let's say Gujarat, the entire Western Ghats, the tribal areas, and considerable parts of Southern India, like Kerala, of course, Karnataka, and Northern India. In my experience, Northern India is a somewhat different ballgame. It's like, for example, I have some tummy issues and some back issues, and I never practiced allopathy for a very long time, but I'm stuck with allopathy. Can somebody here tell me a good Ved in Delhi I can go to?
Yes.
Okay? Yeah, so please, after that, and it's not a rhetorical question, it's a genuine, real question. I do go to a vet, by the way. And I happen to go to a vet who is the head of Mulchan Hospital right now. And it's just that she happens to be a Stree Rog Visheshagya, a women's specialist. I'm in a little far from I'm not in a delivery situation or expecting or anything. But I go to her for my stomach and my back problems because that is the best I could find. And I've asked many, many people this, yeah? And okay, so that is just one thing. And I think, but in Western and Southern India, in my travels, in many intense journeys in tribal and forest areas over 5 months, 15 years back, we found hundreds of amazing vets as well as local health, bhagats and buas and others. But in Northern India, and my work has mostly been in Uttarakhand and Himachal, it is a much more stratified, hierarchical, struggling tradition. Okay, but the point I wanted to make besides that was that I particularly, a lot of my work, since it's with organic farming and traditional seeds and crops and nutrition and related these things, I really resonated with what Madhulika was saying about trying to see the integrations across sectors also. And one of the things I can of course relate very strongly with is that a lot of us would be very open to looking at agriculture, for example. And there I just wanted to point out, since for 20 years I've been working with farming in Uttarakhand, that a lot of our traditional crops are incredibly medicinal in nature. Besides the nutritive properties of all the millets and the amaranthus and a whole lot of else, and often the only recourse people have in rural areas is to adjustments in what they're going to eat. And their amount of knowledge about traditional foods and crops and wild plants, wild food sources and wild medicines is quite amazing. There is no nearby, proper medical health system, and if it's there, we had in our PHC in the village, we had an Ayurvedic doctor who didn't have any medicines, so he only had allopathic medicines. So he used to happen to prescribe them or get his own medicines or help people in other ways. So basically, but the one major thing was that we could, and currently I'm into promoting at a rural and urban level also now organic food herb gardens. And we are much, more than happy to integrate herbal plants and medicinal plants both into traditional farming systems, into strengthening them in the Himalayas, in Uttarakhand, for example, as well as in people's home gardens. As I think to a fair degree, from what I know from some time back, the Foundation for Revitalization of Health Traditions. So thank you, everybody.
I wasn't planning to speak, but now I feel like I must, and I should share what we've been.
Introduce कर दीजिए record
My name is Sonali Bisht. I'm associated with an organization which works in Uttarakhand called ADR, Institute of Himalayan Environmental Research and Education. I've also worked with various other organizations, and Lashadjeep, I was with Ayush when you were in Rajat, and our association started, and with Marinai and with Janjadra and with Ganeshi. So there, I think about maybe 20-25 years ago, there was a lot of enthusiasm, a movement. Many of us went out into rural areas. There was a lot of support which came from donor organizations, from various other trusts, foundations, which slowly has dried out. There has been a total disinterest shown. National Medicine Plant Board came in, which we were very happy with. In the earlier years, there was some support which they gave for local health traditions, for building up skills of women at the very primary level. So there was a lot of things which was happening, all of which has slowly, kind of dried down. What Hariram Murthy ji said is very, very real. We, in Uttarakhand, where we work, we have seen this happening. In fact, in Uttarakhand, there used to be villagers. There used to be villages which were villages of Vaidyas. They would prepare medicines. Each of these temples like you have the Badrinath temple had its associated pharmacy. And with the government takeover, with various other things which are happening, all this has died down. And we have seen very competent local health practitioners, Vedyas, almost pass away before our eyes. Today, the ones that you're talking about, Harinamurthy ji, are now what we see are actually the local health practitioners who somehow in our areas we had, I'm talking about 500, 600 villages that we are closely associated with and have been working over the last 25, 30 years. Now in these areas, these are the Vedyas, the traditional practitioners, the Gunis, who actually remain, the ones that have been fostered by these movements, not just in our area, but in many other areas where we build them up as a movement. And even these are in the process of actually dying out. Within 20, 25 years, they would not be there because the kind of interventions that were actually going in over the last 20, 25 years with many of us in the NGO field, and there are many pioneers here, they were doing, those efforts have slowed down because of the various problems that we've had. I think this kind of support that was coming at a time is no longer there. So it's a very, very serious concern. In our own organization, we built up models of health systems which we demonstrated to the government. What we had was that at the very bottom level, we were training women to take care of their household health care needs with plantation of some essential herbal medicines in the courtyard. At the next level, we would identify a local health practitioner who would actually be giving services in 3 to 4 villages around, and I'm talking about a Uttarakhand situation where it's difficult to access health centers. So we had this kind of a system. Then we had a third level where we had more specialized beds. We worked for many years. We worked for at least 20 years to try and get groups of these together and hold healthcare camps, community-based healthcare camps at various locations, which were extremely well received because this is an accessible, local, traditional healthcare method, and it's affordable, very, very affordable for people. But it's been very difficult actually to contend with all the commercialization forces, with the government forces, with the private sector. And when we are talking about public-private, it actually means the public and the for-profit sector. Because earlier when we were thinking of the public and, when you talk about public-private partnerships, they're no longer service-oriented, non-profit. They can be public and they can be for-profit. So these kind of things, the whole environment has changed, and it's getting very difficult, and unless some strong steps are taken and people come together again, and then there is support, there does not seem to be much of a future in this.
Yeah, Mr. Darshan Shankar, in case you can think of some hope for us.
No, I think you want to say something. There are 3 issues on which I want to talk. First is related with the research. My name is Prashant. I am a research scholar in JNU, Center for Social Medicine and Community Health. The first issue on which I want to talk, I discuss, is the evidence generation. If we see the way the research is being conducted in the biofield or in the pharmacology, there we don't talk about the epistology as well as the ontology, the way we talk in the social sciences. This is the problem, because when you are seeing that how we are going to generate the evidence especially when we are talking the blind method or the cross-sectional method, because the way we conceptualize how we are going to generate the evidence is somewhat different. So this is the problem, the way we are making parameters for our own evidence. The second thing, and I'm seeing the problem with the certification also. If we are showing, if we are choosing the standard from the Western model for certification, the same problem will happen with the certification also. The third issue which is important is about the politics of knowledge generation within various kind of medical system, like the way we are generating knowledge for homeopathy or Ayurvedic system and the MBBS system. There is a hierarchy within that, and that hierarchy is also affecting and the way we are orienting the medical education. So that is an issue which is affecting the service delivery part.
I think that we should probably take very seriously what Ritupriya presented, the whole health systems model that she has presented, that you are starting with the knowledge in the household, you've got a backup then in terms of these kinds of revitalizing the local practitioners who are in the community, and then you have the other stages of the institutions that are already there, and since now even in the 12th plan the document actually does have the word of Ayush in it, I think we should now really try to see that in the process of its implementation we should really begin some large scale programs to invest in this particular model, large-scale pilots in this model. I just want to give you an example which you may not be aware of, that at the household level, based on this kind of an approach, India still has, but eroding, the world's cheapest solution for microbial purification of drinking water by storing our water in copper vessels. So north, south, east, west, we had a tradition, we still have it, but eroding, because people are now substituted that copper vessel with a aluminium or a plastic, not realizing what is the exchange. We have published papers in the Transactions, the Royal Academy of Science, to show that overnight storage of water in copper vessel totally destroys E. coli, cholera, Vibrio, Salmonella, rotavirus. It is the cheapest possible solution for microbial purification of water. Today we are saying in European diets, after seeing the benefits of turmeric, we are saying, can we add a pinch of turmeric in European diet? But in your diets of rich and poor, north, south, east, west, you are already using turmeric, and no one has assessed what is the public health benefit of this particular practice, which has not eroded, thankfully, so far. So really we need to have a very strong program for strengthening the household traditions. We have 6,500 plants that are there, in our tradition. We have 2,500 of them documented with very sophisticated knowledge in our pharmacopoeias, of traditional pharmacopoeia, of Ayurveda, Unani, Siddha, Swarikpa. We should use this knowledge and strengthen that household level program in a big way. Today, we do all this through a budget line which is called IEC. That is, what is that? Information. And what is that size of that budget line? It's you can overlook it. There's nothing in that budget line. That budget line needs to be vastly strengthened, because that budget line, if you strengthen and you really put this knowledge, what you've been saying about your experiences in Uttarakhand and so on and so forth, and in so many other parts of the country, if you strengthen that knowledge, showing people reliable uses of ecosystem specific plants for managing cough, cold, dysentery, diarrhea, gynecological problems, prevention, promotion, health promotion, you'll be doing a great service. And I'm just giving the example of copper. Merely restore the copper tradition. Microbial purification, waterborne diseases are largely caused by E. coli and microbial purification. You have that solution already there. If you restore that confidence in people, then that was a very good practice. So I think we really have to try and see how all of us can, get together to see how to strengthen that health systems model that you presented, taking it from home to the tertiary care with appropriate investments at every level. I think that is the roadmap that we should really try in the 12th plan to see to what extent, we can bring it in. The lines are there.
Thank you. So I think we've come to the end of a long and very interesting session. I have never been in an IIC seminar which went beyond 8 o'clock and nobody shuffled or got up or left or said thank you. Everybody has stayed rooted because I think we all feel, at least everybody in the room feels, that there's something staring us in the face. We don't have the solutions. All of us have made some strategic suggestions, changes, but we're not grappling with something which is fast disappearing like sand under our feet. I only hope that a seminar like this will create a sense of awakening. And thank you very much for having come. Thanks to the speakers who really held us spellbound. And thanks to the audience for having participated so well. Thank you.
Those of you who didn't receive the invitation on email, but our email is networkscommunication@gmail.com. I would request all of you to give your suggestions on email for the follow-up because the way we have engaged, it invites us for a follow-up, and we have in this format we have to invite ourselves. It's very difficult to connect what Madhulika ji was saying, to connect various sectors. So each one of us active on one's location has to actively seek others. So for that I would ask all of you, and we are especially thankful to all the speakers and the chairperson. The short notice, holiday, Eid on top of that, holiday, not just any ordinary holiday. So I'm really very thankful, and I thank you all on behalf of my team inside it. Thank you very much.
Vijay, there's a request that the names, addresses, emails you collected, you compile them and mail it to everybody.
Yes, we can.
I think we would expect that. That will be the first step from your side to strengthen the network.
That will be done.
Yeah.
Madhugalji.